Hello, my name is Kylaneko, and I am going to show you how all this stuff works when it comes to stuff for like OpenSuse Sleep, Tumbleweed, as well as Slow Roll. I've also only recently discovered what Slow Roll was until I had a conversation with somebody, so thank you for that. Also, we're going to go ahead and go through all three of these today. I do want to see if these are going to be viable alternatives for stuff like Linux, because they do kind of use a different kind of packaging system. To my understanding, they use the Zyper, so this is going to be very interesting. I did initially record it before, but I don't think the quality of that video was actually amazing or anything. But just for simplicity's sake, we're probably going to just have everything on KDE as much as possible. Or even Cinnamon at that point, but we're just going to try to use KDE, because I think that's probably what most people are going to end up using anyways. Of course, people are free to experiment and everything like that. So, you want to be able to even install any sort of a Linux distribution. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get some sort of ISO writer. And basically, these ISO writers that you'd want to use, if you are on Windows, you're going to want to use Rufus or Balena Etcher. And if you're on, or even Ventoy, or if you're trying to switch from a different Linux distribution, you can also use Ventoy and Balena Etcher as well. We're going to be under the assumption that you're a new Linux user. Again, you may have to go to your BIOS to change your boot settings, but right now we're going to go ahead and just boot up OpenSuse Sleep, boot normal mode. We're not going to immediately be able to see it just yet because we're still in the live OS distribution part of things. We're in the configuration now, so now we should be given the option to click on next at some point. It's still loading everything, so that tells me Ventoy is working correctly as well. All right, so now you're going to get hit with the license agreement. Of course, this is just a general license agreement. You're not really going to have to worry too much about it. So whenever you're getting the option to go ahead and get the online repositories, what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to click yes, because you want to make sure your computer is up to date. Even in this case, if you're using OpenSuse Sleep, you can kind of just keep everything. You don't have, like, everything else here is optional. So I wouldn't really recommend switching anything if you don't know what you're doing. Just go with the default options. So yeah, we're getting everything installed with this OpenSuse Sleep. When it gives you the option to choose your DE, you could choose whatever DE you want. In this situation, we're gonna choose KDE Plasma because, as our Lord and Savior Brody Robertson says, it's the right choice. So we're gonna go ahead and just install, and we're gonna get the option to install it to a drive. I know which drive I need to install it to anyways, so I'm fine. And you will end up getting the installation overview as well. So for this purposes, since we are testing this OS, let's go ahead and just type in test. And let's just do what we gotta do. That is an interesting thing, though. If you have a previous installation of OpenSuse, you can actually import user data from a previous installation. More distros need that. Because imagine you have an issue, right, with your distribution. Like NixOS already does this with their configuration files. But imagine if you already go ahead and, oh no, my system did something whack. Let me go ahead and reinstall it, or try to install another version of it. I'm not aware of it entirely just yet, because there's probably more distributions do this, but for OpenSuse, that's actually really good. So we're gonna hit next. But yeah, once we end up getting this installed, we're gonna go ahead and go through the steps that we normally go through when it comes to installing things on Linux. And then if it doesn't work out, we can always move on to another version of OpenSuse. Because that's the whole beauty of working on a Linux system, because unlike working on Windows, since most Windows distributions or versions are not really supported anymore by Microsoft, and soon in October, Windows 10 is gonna go bye-bye, basically. You can still use it, but I'd be very careful about using it because they're not gonna have security updates, and don't feed into half the bullshit most of these other YouTube channels state about wanting to use Windows 10 LTSC. The main big issue about that is basically the whole main issue about that is you're going to be using a version of Windows 10 that is not going to be able to get updates, or at least in the same manner as like a normal Windows 10 build would, and you'll be stuck on a specific version that isn't supported by half of the anti-cheats for most of the games that you're playing anyways. The other problem is basically Microsoft is causing this issue. It's basically they're hoping for a mass panic in October. And this is kind of like why we got to get ahead of the curve on a lot of things, especially in the Linux world. I think things should be simpler. I think things should be very straightforward. And for the most part, Linux is literally a straightforward distribution. If it wasn't straightforward and it wasn't simple to use, I wouldn't even be using it. But yeah, I've made a guide and I'm still making guide videos as well. So be aware of that. By October, there's gonna be like a kind of a panic with a bunch of people if they don't already look into this kind of thing. If they didn't already switch over to Mac OS, for example, because those, people who use Mac, they're kind of already in their own ecosystem, so it doesn't matter. But when people going from Windows to Linux, they're gonna see a huge difference in performance. And honestly, when it really comes down to it, if you're just regularly streaming, regularly gaming, even if you're not VTubing, you will still get very similar performance across most distributions. It is really cool. That's why, like, it doesn't really, at the end of the day, matter which distribution you choose. You just need to choose a distribution that you like to use, whether it's Arch, Fedora, Ubuntu, Debian, NixOS, Deepin, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, like stuff like that. As long as it works for you, you're able to use it, that's all you really need to worry about. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and go through this. We're gonna wait for it to install. And then, yeah, but like when it comes to October is gonna be a huge month for Linux. At least that's what I'm assuming. Because when you're having a company like Microsoft, they're gonna try to cause a mass panic, like, hey, Windows 10 isn't supported anymore. You need to move over to Windows 11. Well, the problem with Windows 11 is you have to sign into an online account. You have to use Copilot plus Recall. It's forced onto you. You don't get to opt out of it. It's literally something you cannot turn off very easily without using some sort of external tools, if you're even willing to do that. And you're still not going to get the same amount of performance. It's literally, like, there's so much overhead on Windows 11. It is just not funny. And this is something that I've looked into. I've had people try to say that Windows 11 is a skin for Windows 10. Like, maybe early on when it was first being introduced to people, that was actually the case. But now it's a situation to where they have taken things away from Control Panel. They've taken things away from your user experience. If you click on the Start menu button on Windows 11, you're going to have a huge spike in performance for no reason. You're going to actually lose at least 20% plus performance as well. Like, yeah, sure, maybe the 5% of the games that don't work on Linux do work on Windows. That's basically a case-by-case basis. But eventually, I do believe that if Linux starts to become more of a thing, more game companies are going to start adopting Linux, and Linux is going to be becoming more mainstream than it already is. The closest to Linux becoming mainstream as of now would be the Steam Deck and Tuxedo and System 76 computers. Mainly the Steam Deck, though. And this is kind of like why people are kind of getting interested in a lot of things, because the Steam Deck can play games just fine, and it's Linux. Even if people don't realize it or not, it's Linux. You can use it. And that's the thing that people need to, like, understand. Like, if you want to use your hardware to your full potential and have control over your entire computer, all your components in your computer, and you still want to at least be able to stream, record, play games, video edit, you can play at least 95% of games out there. There is like maybe 10 years ago, well, Linux wasn't good, but you can at least play at least 95% of games on Linux, and it's basically most, if not all of them. And they're more mainly the games that either don't have anti-cheat, they either have anti-cheat enabled for Proton, which lately we're starting to see stuff like that for like Lost Ark as well. And we're also seeing situations to where game developers are slowly introducing this because they're like, oh, this is cool. And then there's some situations to where like it's partially supported, like you need to have a Steam Deck to play something like Mecha Break, until people figure out a way to get past that, which I think they already did. And since it's been for so long since I made a video, I think it's kind of appropriate to go ahead and do 3 distributions of OpenSuse Leap, so that way people could see like what these differences are. Because honestly, I think like people just need to know that the information's out there, especially if you're VTubing, because there's some people who are going to be using OpenSuse when they're VTubing and they don't want to really run into issues as well as like random ass problems. But yeah, we're basically in this situation to where it's going to be installing these packages. And hopefully it's going to be installing it correctly. Hopefully I didn't overwrite anything, but... And I guess like people are now finding out like they can go ahead and use the Linux guide to VTubing, because apparently it's really easy to find now. Apparently it's getting to the point to where I'm getting approached by people and they're like, hey, I like your guide, thank you. Or they end up DMing me, hey, I'm having this issue, can you help me out with this, this, and this? And we try to work it out and we try to fix the issue. I am thinking about opening up a tech support Discord for this specifically, for as long as it's working. Because right now, this is like probably the best case scenario for anybody who's using Linux that is wanting to be a VTuber. Even if you're not using Linux for your gaming computer, say you're dual PC streaming, right? Depending on what your needs are, you could use Linux as a streaming computer and it will be absolutely fine. You could still use game capture on it. You could still use your VTuber models on it. It supports both PNG, 3D, and live 2D models through various means, and how you're able to launch the programs. And you could do quite a bit. You could do honestly quite a bit. And it's crazy. Okay, now the system's gonna go ahead and reboot. Is it okay? Alright, now we're in OpenSuse Leap. The light bulb went off. You're using Linux. Okay. So, you're using OpenSuse Leap right now. So when you're first using your computer, you're going to be greeted with the welcome screen. Obviously, with OpenSuse Leap, the welcome screen is kind of bare bones. It is, you know, it does encourage you to go ahead and get software, look at the, everything like that. Urgency to switch from Windows 10 builds. What's this? Oh yeah, install Linux before it's too late. There you go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and close this. Now, typically you don't have to look up things through terminal. That's not really a requirement. So you can open up the Discover Software Center, which is the first thing you should do. And you will see everything here, right? So, you can actually go to, and I believe there might be a way for you to update. You can actually update using the Discover Center. You don't actually have to touch the terminal at all. So you just need to wait for it to fetch the updates. Again, not all distributions are the same, because it looks like it's still fetching updates. Okay, so everything's up to date, but if you want to find an easier way to make sure everything's updated, you can always go to your package manager to do it, at least in OpenSuse for now. Because if you were to click on system updates, it's going to tell you that everything's up to date. So that's good. Now, the way that you obtain things through the Discover Store is kind of interesting. So you can look up Steam, and you can click on, I believe this is just the regular proprietary package. Now you can install it through this, but a better way to do it, in my opinion, is to go through the terminal. You could just do sudo zyper install Steam. and it'll give you the Steam packages. Normally you want to go through the package manager, but I'm kind of iffy on this kind of thing. Okay, so everything's installing for this. And you can also do sudo Zyper install OBS. And it should also grab OBS for you. Zyper is their package manager. If you don't find it here, we can always just go to here and just do it. But you always have the option to go to the terminal. You don't have to go to the terminal at all. I'm pretty certain if I were to refresh this, I could be wrong. Now we're at Steam. It'd be the same thing, right? I'm doing this just to confirm. Yeah, it's the same thing. So you don't even have to use the terminal. You can just go to the package manager and just grab Steam. That is how easy. Yeah, you can just go to your package manager and you can grab Steam. Not only that, we can actually go and grab OBS now, because we're gonna grab all the packages first, right? And seeing as OBS isn't here, we're gonna go ahead and do something. So I don't think OpenSuse comes with Flatpak, which is probably one of the issues. I think every distribution should come with Flatpak, or give you the option upon installation to install Flatpak or Snap, one of the two. So let's go ahead and go Flatpak. Do this. Click on Quick Setup and you go to Flatpak Install. And then seeing as we're using OpenSuse, we're going to click on OpenSuse. We're going to be doing this all the time, okay? It's literally sudo Zyper install Flatpak. So we're going to go ahead and install it. You can literally copy and paste this. And then we can go ahead and grab the FlatHub repository, because we want to make sure we have Flatpak installed, because it's going to make things hella easy for new users. And eventually we'll cross the point where we start using stuff like Bazite or SteamOS in the future, because people are going to want to know about that, and I do think it's going to be a good idea. I already know somebody uses SteamOS, so Bazite's not too far out of the question. We're going to go ahead and reboot. You may have to do sudo reboot. Either way. So we're restarting into Leap. And I do think it's really good that I'm able to sit here and troubleshoot this and be able to get this to work. Because whenever you're presented with stuff like trying to even use Linux in general, people might just give up, right? But I want to make sure people have options too. So now we have Flatpak installed, and we're going to see something different in the Discover store, I would hope. It's going to add the repository to the Discover store. So we're going to see a whole bunch of things here. You also get Kdenlive Video Editor if you ever wanted to video edit stuff. Let's go ahead and pull up OBS. Again, if you have any issues trying to pull it up through this, because OpenSuse is kind of hit and miss on a couple things, at least right out the gate. Because there's Flat Seal. So yeah, we do have Flatpak. We do have Flatpak. I don't know what I'm doing. OBS. There it is. OBS right there. It took it a minute to load. But we have OBS. So back to what I was saying. You can legit just install OBS. Now, in this situation, I would go ahead on OpenSuse Leap, use the Flatpak. There's a reason for this. Because when you're trying to build a package on this, it can be kind of hard to do. Let me go ahead and grab console real quick to see if I can install CMake. You should be able to. Yeah, so we could install CMake. There's a possibility that it might work anyways. Again, your mileage may vary when it comes to stuff like this. But the whole idea is we need to try to install Game Capture. And if Game Capture doesn't work, there is an alternative to still be able to use OpenSuse Leap. If you are really dead set on using it, don't feel like installing anything else. So if you want to get add-ons, you can click on the add-ons section. You can get add-ons here. The add-ons we're going to go ahead and grab that I think are kind of essential for somebody. I would recommend grabbing ATM Multistream if you are using the Flatpak. This is like the easier way to do it, but you do want to grab GStreamer Vappy. You do want to grab OBS VK Capture. And you want to grab, I think that's it actually. Yeah. So we're not really gonna sign into anything on this, but let's go ahead and launch Steam first, because we've kind of let Steam sit there. Steam will install, so we're gonna kind of just let that going. Because Steam needs to install, because you need to make sure you have like the package version of it. If there's one thing I don't recommend, if you can help it, is you do not get the Flatpak version of Steam, because it has weird intricacies about it that are kind of like very incompatible with a lot of systems. In the sense that you have to do more troubleshooting on the Flatpak than you ever would with the system package. Even Valve themselves says, hey, use the system package on your distribution and it will work as it's intended to do. This is why when we have issues like Fedora trying to get rid of 32-bit support, well, it's because these packages haven't been repackaged to support their own version of 32-bit by themselves, or even 64-bit, which I do think Steam can still support 64-bit. But currently, as it stands, you know, it's still a 32-bit package that acts like a 64-bit package. It's kind of weird, but it's definitely something you're gonna want to use. But we will be using this to, of course, you know, grab what we need to grab. Yeah, you're gonna want to go ahead and let Steam install. Let's go back to the package manager. Let's go ahead and grab Face Tracker. The stuff like using stuff like FlatHub is great. There it is. So we're gonna go ahead and install that. It might ask for your password. 2 ratings. I only see 1. Who gives a shit? Anyways, it's installing. It's basically what you're gonna have to use for most VTubing applications anyways. You can use vBridger, and you can use vBridger to use your iPhone on VTube Studio. But I think it's easier to just use webcam because it's kind of just sitting there. Okay, so we got that going. Face Tracker works. So we're definitely gonna want that. If you want to make things easier on yourself, you don't have to do it, but you can. You can literally go ahead and go through these. You can add like Steam. Steam's already added to your desktop, so that's good. OBS could be added to your desktop if you want. I think utilities as well as like Face Tracker, you can add that to your desktop. You know, because it's kind of make everything easier for yourself. Instead of having to go through a menu to find it, you can literally just click on it. I know most Linux users just kind of want to get away from that, but I just think it's really easy to just put it on your desktop, click on it, and you're good. So go ahead and start Face Tracker. You can have this open preemptively, it's fine. It's not really going to do anything bad. You'll have Face Tracker here. It will, of course, grab your UVC camera, change it to 30, link optimize if you want. You can go ahead and enable it, it will be fine. And then your camera should just work. As far as like installing Steam, I'm going to go ahead and just use the QR code. Because why not? This will, of course, be blurred out. Or cut out entirely. It'd probably be easier to cut it out, but who cares, you know? Go to install Steam. It's gonna go ahead. I mean, you're gonna go ahead and sign into Steam, so it's gonna be fine. Now, what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna go ahead and open up the web browser that came with the distribution. Of course, you can change that later. Go up and pull up the Linux guide to VTubing. Pull that up. It's the first thing you're gonna see on Google, and it's probably gonna be the first thing you see on DuckDuckGo. So here you go. Got this just because it's a decent amount of traffic. Linux got the VTubing. I really hate the way this looks. There we go. We got dark theme. So we have the objective good theme for Firefox. Either way. So you're gonna go through the guide. I'm still updating this, of course. This will be persistently updated. Also, you know, there's also a wiki you can always click on as well if you want to look through that. It's basically an easier on the eyes kind of deal. Linkachuse handles that. But we have different options here for, you know, looking through stuff. But basically what we're gonna be looking for, especially for now, is we're gonna go ahead and get the ip.txt file, because we already have face tracker, right? But we're gonna need this for VTube Studio. I'm gonna go ahead and extract it. We're gonna kind of hold on to this right now. Kind of hold on to that. Now, what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and go grab this. Now, if Steam's giving you problems, you can always close it out and open it again. Because for some reason, you know, Steam just has issues, even on Windows, when it comes to this, because they kind of hang up on things. If I have to re-sign in, I have to re-sign in. It's fine. I don't really care. But now we have this. Of course, I have a shit ton of games. VTube Studio. That's what we want. What we're gonna get. Go ahead and install this. Go ahead and do this. Now, thankfully nowadays, Valve has the big brain, and if you were to go to Steam, settings, compatibility, Proton's already enabled. And Proton Experimental is just fine for most things. Realistically, I like to use Proton 9-4. This will prompt a restart. But Proton Experimental is good too. This Proton 9-4 just allows you to see all your DLC and stuff like that. You don't have to use it. You can still use stuff like Proton Plus, Proton Tricks, which, let's go ahead and just grab Proton Plus just for the sake of it, just to show that you can get custom versions of Proton fairly easily. So if we go back to the Discover store and we click on Proton, or put Proton, there you're going to have different options, of course. And Proton VPN, Proton QFT, Proton Tricks. Proton Tricks is good for troubleshooting stuff, but basically what you want is Proton Plus, because it's really easy to use. So we're gonna go ahead and just, you know, install this, grab this, it'll be fine. You don't have to use it immediately, but it's good. So it's gonna go ahead and install. It's fine. Let's go ahead and just kind of wait for things to install. I don't know why everything's kind of lagging on my end, but there we go. Alright, it's kind of going like that. It's good. Probably because everything else is installing at the same time, but we're gonna just kind of leave it there for it to install everything, and then we'll proceed. Alright, so this should have been installed already, as well as everything else. You know, this Proton Plus might still be downloading. If it's not, you can always try it again. Again, if you have problems, you can always restart your system. It will work just fine. Alright, so after doing all that, let's go ahead and grab two more things. Grab VC face. And let's grab Vtube Mini. And we're gonna grab one more thing. Now, this wasn't in the other videos because this is fairly new. But we're gonna grab Fogus Launcher. That's Fogus Launcher. Fogus. Right? That's how you say it. So we're just gonna go ahead and grab the Linux version of this real quick. We'll extract this later when we get to it. God, I hate ads. I hate this shit. I honestly do. I'm just trying to download something, you know? This is honestly just a website thing. No, thanks. Just take me to downloads. Download. Okay, it downloaded it anyways. It didn't prompt me. I just hate ads on the internet because the ads suck ass. When Vtube comes out, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be really good too. So we got everything we need. Now, what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna click on the library. And wait for the computer to kind of catch up, because different VTube Studio, properties, installed files, browse, YouTube Studio data, streaming assets. We're gonna keep that folder open. Let's go ahead and open up a new window. We're gonna go ahead and go to the file that we downloaded. We're gonna drag and drop this in here. So we have this. So that's good. Now, there is a problem that needs to be addressed when we're using Proton on OpenSuse Sleep. So if I were to go to the Linux guide to Vtubing, we can go ahead and go to where we install game capture. Also, we're gonna grab the Fogus launcher. We are going to grab this, but we're gonna grab the flat pack instead. Because why not? Okay, let's see here. So now we have the game capture method. Now game capture should already technically be installed. But if we do have issues, we're gonna go ahead and attempt to install this on Leap. But I have an issue. Leap is gonna have problems. We're gonna go ahead and OBS game capture %command%. Normally, this is supposed to work on most distributions, but I think Leap is so far behind that we're actually going to have an issue trying to launch the game. I'd be very surprised if we didn't. So we're supposed to see the unregistered mappers here. Of course, it's going to go ahead and run its own install script based on your internet. And the bandwidth, of course. Okay, so it didn't launch. And this is an issue on some distributions. I'm not sure. This was an issue on Linux Mint 21 as well. But, let's go ahead and just get rid of this command. Because we'll have to use the other version of doing this. So we're not even going to worry about game capture right now. At least for that. But what we will do is we will grab the Fogus launcher. I'm going to go ahead and install it like this. You can install it through your package manager if you want. Because I know the Fogus launcher will support these launch options. So it's just a launcher. Honestly, I'm not sure why the only gripe I have with this launcher is that it probably should be just be called the Penguin launcher. Uh-oh. Grab any old cat. Actually, let's grab the dog this time. You have the dog. A few things you need to do in VTube Studio. You need to go to the camera. It's got OpenSuse face, so you need to see that. You can auto start, you turn the camera on. Calibrate it. You should technically be fine. We're gonna go ahead and hit Alt-Enter. Shit, wrong thing. Alt-Enter, so we go ahead and put it in windowed mode so it's easier to manage. August Launcher has been installed. Actually, I might just start calling it the Penguin Launcher. Go ahead and grab August Launcher. So then we have this here. This will use Umu, which is something I'm going to explain later. I'm going to pin this to now. So we have this. Let's go ahead and open up Face Tracker. We have Face Tracker now. Calibrate. Turn the camera off, turn it back on. And now we should have some sort of collaboration with this. And movement config off for now. But yeah, we have this working now. And I think this is really good that we are getting this going. Now if you want this to be captured in OBS, that's what we're going to be covering next. Go ahead and exit out of this menu because we have everything we need. Double click on the picture. Go down to color picker. Hit select. Hit OK. Transparent and capture. Change this to like a color that you can use. Most of the time it'd be green would be good. So we're gonna have a green screen, and this should be good enough. Now, if we were to go to something like OBS, this is of course the flat pack. I know the system package has issues on it on OpenSuse Sleep, so I've tried it before, and holy shit, it wasn't amazing. But we're gonna wait for OBS launch. Hit next. You know, I always prefer 60, but it's gonna be whatever. Hit next. It's gonna ask you to use your streaming key, or you can sign into your account. I'm going to assume we're in Xorg right now. Yeah, we're in X11, which X11's fine. Eventually, all these systems and all these distributions will be updated to Wayland. Completely fine. I just prefer Xorg because it's easier to use. At least for streaming stuff. So now we have this. Proof of concept. So we could grab game capture, but game capture won't work with this. We're going to go ahead and keep it here for now, at least. We will worry about this in a minute. But we're going to go ahead and go to window capture. And we're going to go and select VTube Studio. Go ahead and turn the capture cursor off. This is the old way of doing it if you're on a system that has issues trying to use game capture, especially based on its current package set. Of course, it is using an older version of OBS than the one that I have right now, but it's still a more up-to-date version in comparison to most distributions right now. So let's go ahead and click on filters. We're going to go ahead and click on chroma key. And we're going to chroma key that out. And guess what? It's just fine. You can use window capture. Of course, window capture has its issues. You know, you can see stuff like the outline on the VTube model, which is something I really didn't mention before. But you can see a little bit of the outline. Again, that can be taken care of with filters. You can make that look as good as possible. Typically, the best way to do it is game capture, but if you have issues, use window capture. It's the first way that I learned how to do it when I was first doing this. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, we know Live 2D works on this. But let me go ahead and just close out let me close out the Live 2D stuff for now. What about PNG tubers? So for PNG tubers on OpenSuse Sleep, we're going to be going to extract one of these folders. I don't know why it extracted like that, but let's roll with the punches. Double click on this, hit execute. Now we have VideoTube Mini. Now VideoTube Mini, really good program. Honestly, I think it's probably one of the better coded programs for Linux. But you know, you'll get yourself your tutorial. You'll then be given your stuff here. You can also change your window to VideoTube Mini if you wanted to. And if things don't look right, because you know things are kind of miscolored right now, especially when you're trying to do this, you can actually go back to your filters. You can adjust the similarity on it. So it looks really good. So yeah, it's basically, you know, PNG tubing works. Anything with a browser source will work as well. So if you decided to use something like Reactive by Fugitech, that will work as well. It will work as your browser source, however. Now the thing about Xorg, you do get custom browser docs. You do get the ability to log into everything. So it really just depends on what you think you need. If you're running a 2 PC setup, that's gonna be a video for another time. For now, we're just focusing on VTubing stuff. But yeah, we do have this. Now for 3D VTubing, 3D VTubers. This is something you could do with probably all of them. I like to use VC Face because it's the easiest thing to show. So we're gonna go ahead and grab the Penguin launcher or Foggus launcher. It's not launching normally, you can always just go here and just do it. There we go, it's launching. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna go ahead and extract VC Face. VC Face will already have a model for us to look at. We're gonna go ahead and click on this here. We can actually rename it to VC Face. And honestly, this is probably the easiest way to do it. You can do it through Steam. You can do it through Bottles. You can do it through Luitris. It will all work just about the same. It really just depends on your use case, of course. But so far, recently, as of 2025, this is the easiest way to do it. And if you want to, you can even have it launched through Uemu, which is a really good, which is a different Proton. You can make a desktop shortcut of this program. We can actually go to Downloads, VC Face, grab the VC Face exe file, hit OK. And guess what? Guess what? We now have the desktop shortcut. So we can actually close this out if we wanted to. Now we will need Face Tracker again, because we will need that. And we just need to have it loaded because natively VC Face supports this, so we don't really need to do anything special. Unlike VTube Studio, which is different. But of course, it's going to extract Uemu Proton. It's going to grab the latest version of Uemu. We're going to be able to launch this just fine. Once we can confirm that this launches just fine, actually what I kind of want to do is I want to go to the launcher again. Go to launcher again. Click on edit. Tools. You can actually have launch arguments for this. And also game arguments. We're gonna find out something in a minute. But let's go and grab this. Paste this here. Hit OK. We might end up closing out VTube Studio. Or it might close out itself. Let's launch it again. Or VC Face, I mean. But yeah. The guide is ever growing, and it's going to be growing, and it's going to continue to grow. As long as people are more, you know, confident in helping out. Of course, I'm going to be, Alright, so now we can skip this if we want to. And we could choose Open VC Face Tracking. We could choose we could choose whatever thing we have here. You know, in this case, we could start, and then it should like grab our stuff here. Now, of course, this is on a laptop. It might end up functioning a little bit worse than what you normally see. But I can actually go here. I think I should be able to grab that, but I don't think it launched correctly, actually. And actually, I think it's because game capture didn't install correctly, so let's go do that real quick. So, in this situation, we're going to go ahead and have to grab game capture. We're going to assume that it's going to work, but let's try to see if we can get this going. If not, that's fine. We can always do window capture at some point, but it's going to be a little harder. It does work, though, so there's that. So there's a reason as to why this is the way this is. Let's go to open VK capture. Because, you know, we're basically troubleshooting some stuff just out the gate. Now, what I always like to do is I like to grab this and like to put it in my home folder, because it makes things a little bit simpler. Since CMake is already installed, we can actually go ahead and open up we have to CD into this folder. So let's CD into this. So we're in this now. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and follow the guide. Instead of using apt, we're going to be using Zyper. Now, if this doesn't install, you might have issues. Yeah, it had issues trying to resolve the dependencies. So we're not even going to worry about this. Let's go ahead and just go ahead and boot up the application, because I think there's a way to actually do this correctly. If you have issues, you can just use Proton. Might actually be able to put it through Steam as well. Yeah, I don't know. You might have issues with Leap when it comes to this, but normally everything normally works. So I would say we at least got 2 out of the 3 things working on OpenSuse Leap. Let's go ahead and move on to OpenSuse Tumbleweed. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. OpenSuse Leap does work for what it's worth. For what it is worth, it does work. So, we're going to get back into this. So we've officially done 2 out of the 3 that we were going to be doing today. I mean, 1 out of the 3 that we're going to be doing today. Let's go ahead and click on Tumbleweed. Normal mode, of course. Installation. Now I'm going to assume Tumbleweed is going to be more up to date than Leap. Leap is more of like more of a conservative kind of update. It's kind of like in a similar method of Debian regularly. with the exception of like Pika OS, of course, because Pika OS keeps things up to date typically as well. But Debian, Debian also has slow updates. So now it's starting up the UDEV. All right, so I already went ahead and went through those steps with OpenSuse Leap. Of course, this is me in post going ahead and at least providing you with a little bit of context as to why I'm also including Tumbleweed and Soft Roll. Well, it turns out, and of course, like this is going to be at like a decent speed, so I don't want to have to go through it multiple times again, but you'll get the same idea basically. It's basically the same. They have a similar update pattern, and there isn't really much that we can really go off of when it comes to shit like that. So, yeah, there's not really much I could really say. But, if you're gonna choose a flavor of OpenSuse, you can probably go with just about any of them. I would still recommend maybe the more up-to-date version of OpenSuse. Likely Soft Roll or Tumbleweed. Most users probably might want to go with Soft Roll since it's like an in-between. Because the updates are like, they're bleeding edge, but they're not super bleeding edge. It's kind of basically how that makes sense. But, yeah, I would, but yeah, basically, you know, at this point, when it comes to OpenSuse, I think this can work out for some people, but I don't know if I can, like, directly recommend it, because it's basically a situation of, I'm having issues trying to install game capture, and that's, like, creating its own little bit of problems. That being said, you can still stream on it. Of course, they all ship out with X11 or Xorg, so that might not be your thing. If not, you can, since it does use KDE, you can still use Wayland. Of course, your way of capturing things might be a little bit different, as like when I highlighted it in the Pika OS video. But when it really comes down to it, it just works the way it's supposed to, but it has its problems as well. So regardless, I'm not going to say it's a bad OS, but I am say it's kind of a bit behind on certain things. You can install game capture, but game capture doesn't work how it's intended to, especially for like a flat pack. So like your mileage may vary on that. But yeah, if you like OpenSuse, that's great. It's not really a thing for me. I accidentally nuked my Linux Mint install, so I'll have to like redo that. It's not gonna take me very long at all, but yeah. I'd say it's pretty decent. All right, and that concludes the OpenSuse video. I do want to mention though, when I was working through this OpenSuse stuff, basically, the main problem was like a lot of the stuff just wasn't working with game capture, and I do think OpenSuse is a non-standard OS, in my opinion. It wouldn't be like a directly like a standard Linux OS that's so different from everything else. That being said, if you were to VTube on it, you could. It's also good that VNeon also works on it. So if VC Face isn't working for you, as long as you're able to get some sort of green screen, you should be fine. After testing basically multiple things, window capture is probably the way to go for these distributions if you do decide to use this one. If anybody could find a way to get game capture to work on OpenSuse, let me know. I'll add it to the guide. And it's definitely a lot. It was definitely a lot of testing today between Leap, Tumbleweed, and Slow Roll. And basically they're all about the same. After testing them, they are all about the same. This isn't like something that's like directly against them, but they're all about the same. Their updates might be different. They might be on different updates and stuff like that. But like, long story short, they're all about the same when it comes to compatibility for VTuber programs on Linux. That being said, you could still stream on it. I'm pretty certain you could still game on it too, because a lot of stuff does works anyways. The Umu launcher or the Penguin launcher or Fogus launcher, that one ends up working at least decently enough, so that's good. And like, yeah, it works. Very good. Anyways, I have one more thing to say. Please donate to Iron Mouse's Tiltify for the IDF Foundation. It's very important that we, as a community, even on the Linux side, make some sort of donations to her. Even if I'm not able to. So, at least getting the word out's great. They've already surpassed a good amount as far as this goes. And I will also leave a link in the description. And hopefully everything will work out. What happened with the whole VShojo situation after me looking into it, absolutely fucked up. But the only way you can continue forward is to move forward for that. And I do want to at least let people know that Mousy does have a Tiltify campaign. That being said, thank y'all for coming by. I really do appreciate it. Of course, and you know, let me know what other distributions you want me to see that I could probably try out, because I'll definitely try to get more videos out lately, given the amount of time I have. Anyways, hope I'll catch y'all later. Bye bye.